preliminary plans on our board that were coming, we always felt we were missing out on where was the need. So that was one of the things that we were hoping to come up here and talk to you about without funding, is to find out how we could collaborate and get the people to have more, get what they need. And also with the building we're going to build, we're adding a conference room in there. Because right now, a lot of the, like Mahooby and social services out of the county, we don't have a meeting room for them, so when they do come to talk, they have to talk to the people in the cars. So they only can do it when the weather is good, because we don't have a room for them. So we're trying to become more of a resource instead of just food. We want to be able to help people out, because they come in, they need gas, they need a housing, and we don't have access to all that right now, but that's what we're hoping we can set up by setting up programs each month where the families know who's going to be there, so if they need something, they can come in and set up a meeting time with them. So we want to expand more than the food that we're doing right now.
And then, to my understanding, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if transit, do they stop at the pantry?
No, they don't stop there.
They do go to Walmart.
They go to Walmart and drop people off at other stuff, but it's our understanding they won't come to us. So we'd like to have that a consideration as far as what would be the cost of maybe making a special trip for that. One of the limitations I know of all the transit buses is we give out quite a bit of food, so have to be some consideration on how large a family is that's coming in there, because there won't be a lot of room. Like a family of, we've had them up 10, 15, we give a lot. It's probably 8 to 10 boxes of large food that they. So that would have to be a consideration when we consider the transportation part of it too.
Yeah, because they stop at Walmart and all these other places, but they got to spend money. But I know there's some families out there that, you know, if they knew that transit went to the food shelf, they could get free food. Right? I mean, that would be pretty beneficial to those community members.
If I may, I know that a lot of families do utilize your food shelf too, but we just funded ours, you know, just maybe 3 months ago or something. I can't remember.
I got Melissa Brown, she's the manager. She's been awarded some grants to keep operating 5 years. Here's how we can operate.
But we need to, I think if you guys can, you know, meet with them and figure it out, because, you know, I know they do serve a lot of people, especially, you know, within the Becker County. And I think that's awesome. So, you know, that's something that will, you know, help our people too. If you guys could work together and collaborate, I think that'd be the best thing. Yeah.
Find each other's needs.
Yeah.
I think $250,000 is a drop in the bucket. We did 4.9 for a pointless contract. And because of that contract, we didn't have funds for our members to even get a simple turkey. And if you're saying you got 25 to 33% of our people on the reservation you're serving, I think it would be well worth the investment.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Then, Mr. Chair, is it possible for them to, like Annie said, kind of start a discussion or collaboration?
Yeah, that'd be good. I think that'd be good if you meet with our people.
And we'd like to be able to, I think you have another council meeting on the end of the month. We would like to be, if we could, come back and present our package to you for formal consideration.
Yeah, we'll talk to them first, and then they'll reach out to us, okay?
Okay.
We'll appreciate it. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.
Well, we appreciate you having us this day. Thank you very much.
Take care.
All right, next up we have, you know, at noon here, I know Robert Thompson's here from the election board. We're gonna be doing our drawings or so. But till then, we're gonna go down the list for our community council updates. So I'm gonna go down the list with Callaway. Is Callaway here?
You know, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if their council is up and running yet. I don't know if they reached out to Maria. So that's something I'm going to talk to them about when I meet with them in the community. So.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Double Lake here. Iron Range. Monoman here? Nate-Wash, is it?
Dear Tribal Council, we would like to thank you for the assistance for our egg hunt event. It went well, and every child in the elementary and down received a door prize. We would like to thank the Nate-Wash Boys and Girls Club for partnering with us. We look forward to working with them in the future. NCC appreciates the support for our Nate-Wash Volunteer Fire Department. They will be able to replace protective gear and purchase equipment needed to respond to fires in the area. We continue to see them responding in the village and other communities and cities, and just this morning, they were already responding to a call. We've been holding weekly giveaways. This will slow down as we focus more on community events and try to clear out the old center. We are submitting a request to support a family fun book bingo night and a high school reading challenge. NCC has collected donations of new books, but we are needing books for little children. We would also like more Native books. We do need to purchase teen books that are written by Native authors. NCC is asking any White Earth Department for Native books for any age, as we are still taking donations. We are also in the process of planning an event for 12-year-olds and older and hope to partner with the Boys and Girls Clubs again. NCC continues to request in writing for the 11th month a functional community center and assistance with talking to Monoman County for a recycling bin or center. We've been without a recycling center for 2 years now. In addition to this, we wanted to add to this letter, we wanted to add the Boys and Girls Club facility, and I know that Ms. Jackson added that to the agenda. But what we would like to see is we would like to see something that's actually useful to our kids and that's safe for our kids. You know, because look at what's happening here in Monoman. But Nate-Wash also, we have chains on our doors. Like if you look and walk through a safety inspection, there's no classroom spaces. You know, Elbow Lake needs a building. Sure, Rice Lake could probably use more space as well. And so I know at one time the tribe was assessing buildings, and I'm not sure if that ever continued or not, but it would be nice to have all of your buildings assessed for the safety of children, because I know in Callaway, black mold. So I think those are some of the things that it would be nice to have a full assessment of your Boys and Girls Clubs, as well as taking care of some of the emergency situations that you have going on right now. These are our children and our youth. But the one thing that Nate-Wash would really like to do is support the charter school and having additional space, maybe a classroom or two added on, be able to expand to meet the needs of the children in Nate-Wash, because they're definitely overflowing. The other thing too that we'd like to mention is tomorrow the Monoman School will be meeting for tribal consultation. So there's been a situation, and just to make sure that it's brought to the council's attention formally, is the smudging and then not allowing the smudging in the school. So they're currently in the process of proposing a policy for smudging to the school board, which will happen next Monday. But I know that this policy will also be reviewed by tribal council in tribal consultation tomorrow. So what we're hoping is to see this policy. I don't think the community has seen it or read it, but hopefully it's adequate to meet the needs of our students, and it's more of an opt-out instead of having 80% of your students opt in to smudging activities or being around smoke.
What time is that again, Tara?
I'm not sure when tribal
I
consultation
know I got it on my.
is happening, but it's really important. Also, in Nate-Wash and then also with Monoman School District, both Indian Ed parent committees have filed non-concurrence with the schools So that's something else to take into consideration, and how are we really meeting the needs and education of our students. So with that, Nato, I just want to say miigwech, and we're gonna head out now because the powwow is going on, and we all have kids in there, so. Also, the chair has the written requests, and for the class 2, it should have been in your packet with your letter. Appreciate that. And no, just kidding. Oh, I gotta go right here.
Hey, Nina. This is Jana. Oh, not working.
They never notified me.
This is Jana, the education director for White Earth. So the tribal consultation with Manoman is tomorrow at 9 a.m. And it's open to the public. A tribal consultation is something that the education division for each tribal nation in the state does. There are specific schools that are required to consult with their local tribal nations, depending upon the number of students, Indigenous students they have in their districts. So tomorrow is 9 a.m. So we have links, and that information has been sent to tribal council. But if anyone else would like to attend, please let me know. The Boys and Girls Club, that's something that I don't know if we're going to address later, but there are needs that are being addressed. I've been discussing that with executive leadership, how we're going to spend the current construction funds that we have through HUD. And right now, we have a request in for some temporary space for our Manoman Club for this summer, but I'll wait till you want to address that. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted me to address based on what Natal Ash's comments were.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can we discuss the Boys and Girls Clubs right now instead of whenever you were going to discuss them? Just because, I'd like to let people know what is actually going to happen or what may happen. I don't know, but I think it needs to be addressed now.
Yeah, I know that they were looking at using Shopko for this summer, which is fine. But I know in the long term, I talked to Curtis and, and also Lori about, building the community health building in Manoman, so we can meet the needs of the unmet needs of the Manoman, band members. One of our biggest locations where I think the bulk of our jobs and residents that live in Manoman. I know there's a lot of resources out there. Of course, we do have our third-party monies, and there's tax credits. I know that it's going to take about 2 years to get done. But I mean, that's temporary. But I know this is something that we've been talking about for a long time. I've been talking about this since I was deputy director about getting a community health building in Manoman. So it is something I know that I'm gonna have to ask council to see and look at maybe renderings or looking at things that possibly could come up. And of course, right now we don't even have a District 2 representative. So I mean, I know right now that I think for this summer, and I know Annie had concerns about our children, and also all council has concerns about our children. And I think that the Shopko building would work for this summer. You gotta remember that Shopko we purchased for its commercial property and was built for businesses. So I know that, but the whole thing about what we need to plan for is that community health building. I think that I need to sit down with council here and go over with our executive team to figure out what we're going to do with Manoman for pertaining to that health building for our community. So that's something we got to do. Something I think that's been on my shoulders for years. So yes, Tito.
Tim, you're doing this temporarily and then maybe look at also for future, the elders of Monoman have been looking for a place where they could meet also.
And when we get those drawings, we'll share them with everyone. And then that needs assessment, and that's what we should.
Don't forget the elders there.
Mr. Chairman, here's my position on it. You know, Monoman Boys and Girls Club have been shoved all over the place. Now they're getting shoved out again. And, you know, we got this Shopko building. Yes, it is commercial, but, you know, I don't think that big of a building is needed for our medical marijuana. We can have a space built where the pharmacy will be, the doctor, and, you know, also a storefront. But this building right now is suitable. It's got the high ceilings. You know, there's gonna be some work that has to be done in there, yes. But I think it's suitable right now for our children. And I also talked to Lori and Curtis about contacting the county or state or whoever we have to contact about putting in stoplights there so that we can safely get our children across the street, because we know how busy the street is. But also, you know, we talk about our children, but yet we never move on it. I know that we need to spend down a grant that needs to be, you know, probably taken care of today. She needs direction. So let's get that done. Let's move forward. If that building works for the children, let's leave them there. I mean, why wait? I mean, why wait 2-3 years to build this community building? You know, and it's like, we have it now. And that's my biggest concern here is that, you know, we buy properties and they sit and go waste.
Annie, we buy property that said it's gonna be for one thing, and then after it's paid for, and even money set aside for renovation, where's that money at? And they change it to something else.
Well, that's, you know, that's what we have to consider, because Monoman Boys and Girls do need a building. We need to look at Callaway's building. It's full of mold. I mean, is that good for our children? You know, we have the money to do it. Let's get that fixed up for Monoman. Let's get Callaway going, and let's go to Elbow Lake and see what they want. You know, because it's about time our communities did something, you know? And also, I forgot to bring up that house out in Pine Point we went looked at.
Yeah.
Yes, it did flood, but it's suitable. We went in there, there's no smell, there's some sheetrock that has to be done, flooring needs probably to be done, maybe replace the refrigerator, but that is set to go, and I'm gonna talk about that out in, when I go to Pine Point for that community meeting on the 18th. You know, I wanna see what they want done with it, because I think, you know, put a little money in there and let's let the community have something nice, you know, but Mr. Chairman, I think we have to move on this boys and girls stuff, because, you know, our children need to have spaces to go. And, you know, you know, like I'm saying, for community councils too, they do an awesome job. I mean, BAM is teaching our kids, they sew. I mean, and my two little guys are so into that drumming. I mean, my brother gave them a little drum, and they're out in my shed drumming or up in their room drumming, you know, and they're succeeding in school so much better. You know, just looking forward to that drum. My girls are making skirts while Grandma is, but you know, they're learning these experiences, and they're all doing this voluntarily, you know, so it's awesome. And I think that, you know, our children are our future, so I think we should move on this, and, you know, let's get Monoman set up over there. Let's get Callaway taken care of, and let's meet with Elbow Lake and see what they need.
But Cheryl, what about our children? It's like nice to get them a place to play. But our children, we lack foster homes. They need a shelter. And Monoman elders don't even get E&P meals.
Well, see, and that probably be part of his community building he's talking about. You know, I don't know what's gonna be in there. Can our elders utilize that building with the kids? Which, you know, would be good, because they can learn from their elders also. I know you need E&P, you know, and that, you know, maybe that's something when your new District 2 rep comes on, you guys can sit down and brainstorm, you know, but You know, I'm trying for.
I know you are, I know you are, and I keep banging my head about.
I know.
The shelter, so they're not sent out to some non-native
That's
foster
something I
home.
just said was, all they need is to share a space for now, the Monoman elders, or meetings.
Well, why not that place right across the street over here where they do the art stuff? The college building, wouldn't the college let us have space, use that building over there? They have a nice room with big lot and tables in there.
What kind of condition is that in, Lisa?
What's that?
The college building, do you know?
Oh, the one on Main Street?
Yeah.
It needs to be demolished.
No, I'm talking about the one right on 59 where they do the art classes and stuff. They got one room with a big long, some tables in there where we
I'm
can
not
sit and meet.
familiar with that one, I guess.
No,
Oh, is that the one, the old Ladue building?
Yeah, I think that's what it's
Yeah.
called.
And I have no idea about that one. I don't know who has ownership of it or.
That
The
one,
college does.
is there, the Jekin is in there, and then they're in the old, photography studio, Sharky's, but, Adult Basic Ed is in there. The old Ladue building. The eating program.
Right?
I don't even know what building it is. So what has to be done, Lenny, you know, in order to move forward, and, because Lisa needs to know too, you know, we need to figure this out like today, and I know that, you know, I know that it has been said to wait for the new council to come on, but we can't just be at a standstill because our people are suffering.
And the grant that I have, that we had, ends at the end of June. I need some time to talk to HUD and say, we don't want to put, I mean, I don't know, the Senex building, when we actually bid it, it cost over $4 million with the estimate come in. I can't see putting that kind of money into that building. We had originally had an estimate of 1.1. I thought that was doable. Then we raised the estimate for inflation to 1.7, and it comes in like 4.3 million. And I just can't see putting that kind of money in that building. I mean, and when we look at Shopko, it has it high ceilings already. I did meet with White Earth Enterprise, and they gave me a little drawing of what they plan on doing with Shopko. The building the part that they need just for the dispensary, you know, the main part, like your dispensary, storefront, doctor offices or whatever, that's only 1/4 of the building. And they're estimating that 1/4 of the building to renovate and bring the ceilings down will be about $2 million just for that 1/4 of the space.
Yeah. So I believe it was on April 4th or 5th, I did have a capital projects meeting with Lisa. And at that time, we talked about the grant that would be expiring in June. I did suggest or recommend potentially using that $700,000 that would expire in June to go towards the Callaway Club to get that renovated. That way it could be utilized without us losing that grant. And then we would focus on the Monoman Boys and Girls Club at the same time, if they were to go into Shopko for right now and then potentially build the other building permanently within the next 2 years.
And I would have to ask that question. And I did get an estimate from an architect to do a building. Wouldn't be quite as big as the Monoman one, but you're looking more at 3.2 million to that one, almost 3.3 million. So it would still need additional cash. Dana does have $1,250,000 to put towards Monoman Boys and Girls Club. And if we did use our $700,000, we almost have $2 million to do something if we did want to earmark for. I wouldn't have to change the focus. I think it might be easier to say to HUD saying, okay, this was earmarked for Monoman Boys and Girls Club. We have a building available. I would like a year extension. You know, we don't have to build the outer shell. We can work all through the winter. The environmental assessment won't be a big deal because it's already an enclosed project, so it won't, it'll be a categorical exclusion. So those processes could speed up if we're using an existing building like that. I just need some direction. I hate to lose the grant money. End of June, it's ending. And I got to do some persuading one way or the other. If we say, can we use Callaway or can we use it for Monoman? I'm fine either way. I'm just trying to think, what's gonna be easiest to get through HUD. And maybe they'll consider both options. I mean, I can lay it out on the table to them, but I don't have much time to work with them.
Because I'm thinking with Callaway, we're just gonna have to demolish and build. You know,
Yeah.
maybe,
It has to come down.
Because it's, yeah.
I went with the architect and we reviewed the building, and then Bernie, Margaret and I went down into the basement. Bernie went down first, Margaret went down second, she fell through the stair. So, I mean, there's water coming in, and when you open that door, there's just water dripping through, like, between the walls.
I don't like putting Band-Aids on stuff and then going back 3 years later and have to put another Band-Aid. You know, so I think, you know, that's our best bet. We have to bring forward, I say we use, how much do you think it would be to get Shopko up and
The architect was gonna come meet with me today at 2 o'clock. I could have a better idea after today, once we can analyze it, look at it.
Okay, because what are we looking at? Because I don't know what the community out wants, you know, that's.
I think you would be, I think it's big enough to have room for community space plus the Boys and Girls Club, you know? It seems to have plenty of room to be multifunctional. I think it would be a good option, and I know, like, Mike is looking as far as his, you know, the dispensary and whatever. If we have the building along Main Street, across from Thrifty, that old building, it's condemned and it should be taken down. You know, that may be an option where you might want to put something that could be a pharmaceutical, across from a pharmaceutical, you know? That might be an option, or maybe you want it on 59 somewhere and you want to get a little piece of land and you want it right out there. I don't know what your plans are, but I think you could build one pretty reasonable for the size of what it looks like they need. You know, and then you, with the Shopko, at least you could utilize it for the whole space. And like I said, it has a nice tall ceilings. That would be good for us. There is going to be a lot of work. I mean, we'd have to, there's a lot of bathrooms that have to be created, and there's going to be some concrete that has to be.
Basketball, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Put in, yeah.
It'll need a kitchen.
But do you think, like, can we, if we transferred that 700,000 to Callaway, is that gonna cover the cost there?
No, I got an estimate, they figured like about 3.4 million. So either way, you're gonna need some money in either way. I don't know, nowadays you can't get anything for 700,000, it doesn't go very far anymore.
Right.
I mean, especially with the inflation we've been having, it's crazy how much our prices have jumped up.
Yeah, I'm hearing that our Ojibwe supply is cheaper than Menards right now. So, you know, that's crazy. But, you know, that's also good for us. But anyways, let's, can we move on the 700,000 at least and figure out where we can.
When I would have to have I'd have to approach them in some way, you know.
She needs direction from council on
Yeah.
how she should go back on.
Right, I need some more direction. What do you want me to do? Because I have to lay out a plan to them. So.
Well, why don't you just, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Because we'd also have to say how much, you know, how much is it gonna cost? You know, we have to look at overall. You're willing to match the rest of the money? There's a lot of things I'm gonna have to lay out to them on how you do it. Or another thought that I had is if you do use this for Monoman, this has already been hanging out here for a long time. If you do have the Shopko building, that's something that could be done over this next year. It could be done, I can put it to bed. There's another grant coming up for ICDBG. Should we apply for another one for Callaway? You know, and then now the grant was $900,000 the last time we got some funding. So they've raised that a little bit from the original one that I did for the Monoman Boys and Girls Club. So you could ask for another grant and we can start out fresh and not be behind the gun. I don't know how long of an extension they're gonna give me.
Yeah.
There's a lot more stuff there. There's environmental assessments, there's design where this, I think we could streamline it and go quicker. And I could ask for a year extension and I think we could get it done within that time.
And that will be their permanent building then.
And it could be their permanent building, and there could be room in there, I'm sure, for elders. There could be room in for the community. Use it as a multi-purpose community center, Boys and Girls Club. we could design that in a way that would meet the needs here for the people in Minoman. I mean, I don't want to take Mike's building, don't get me wrong, but it seems like a perfect solution, you know?
No, I'm just thinking in the long haul, because, you know, one of the things that I've always looked at was for our tribal college to have a men's and women's basketball team. And we need a gymnasium to fit the needs of our children that are in sports, especially with the Thunderbirds and Ola and the rest of the schools around us, that we do want to have a good gymnasium for our community that helps serve the needs of the women when it comes to our youth sports and our athletic. So,
And I don't.
And Shopko doesn't meet that standard.
It doesn't. You couldn't get like a full court and do everything else that you wanted in there. I think you could put up some basketball hoops and they can do other basketball activities, but it wouldn't be the right height for a complete basketball regulation size gymnasium.
And to me, the college can worry about that. You know, I'm thinking of the children now, you know.
It's on our radar.
I have a question. How long has it been sitting vacant?
They're using it for storage, I do
Since we
believe.
bought it, I mean, over a year since we bought it?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember when you guys bought it, but yeah, it's been vacant.
I wanted to point out that there's funding available, Mike, for land grant institutions like the college, 1994. There's money available for colleges to do community centers. That's something that we could look into. If we're really interested in gymnasium, and we've always talked about community centers, there is money available for land grant institutions in 1994 for to build community centers. That's something I think we should look at. I think it's a good idea for the kids. Have you seen the Boys and Girls Club in Detroit Lakes? Man, I was just looking at it the other day when I went to Casey's at night. It's all lit up. I was like, man, DL cares about their kids.
Well, and it's almost paid for because of their thrift store, the success of their thrift store and their other programs.
That's a big building. I bet they put a lot of money into that. Nice.
Well, Lisa, you can get us some information on that more, so we can get back to council and we could.
Well, we gotta act, Mike, because, you know, that ends June 30th. She needs direction on what she should do. I think go ahead and, this is my thought, go ahead and say we want to do it with Shopko. You know, I don't know if the rest of the council agrees, but, you know, we got to get that money spent down. So let's move forward on that. You know, in Callaway, like you said, we're going to get another grant, you know, and hopefully we can, you know, do something with Callaway. But we have to find something for Callaway in the meantime, too. You know, we can't be letting the kids go in there with mold. And I still want to know where Elbow Lake sits, because they do have a lot of children out there now. So we need to find them something too. I don't know how that clubhouse is out there.
They're going to do some inspection and see what needs to be done.
Okay.
And then we can put staff out there. We requested the funds for staff.
And yeah, that's what we need to do, I think, right now, is just give her the direction to figure out, you know, what she's going to do now with that grant money.
And with Callaway, there's like 5 buildings that should be demolished on the site.
Do we own all the buildings?
Yes. And I would suggest, like where the blue buildings are further away from 59, that'd be a perfect place to put Boys and Girls Club for them off the highway. And then economic development could do something with the, you know, the land right on 59 for like businesses or something. But there is a lot of nice space in that block.
Well, I know we do need a building too to sell some beadwork and stuff out of too. You know, that's like, I'd like to see a museum put in sometime, you know, but I think, you know, I don't know, is everybody on? Where'd everybody else go? Can we give her direction?
Yeah, I agree with Danny that something needs to be done right away here. So long as it's within the parameters of the grant, I'd be in favor of Annie's proposal.
And I would have to get, so I will have to advertise for an architect. I'll have to get somebody to design what we need inside. And then we could bid it out. At that point, I'll come back to you for, I'm sure that between both of ours, I don't think that's enough to cover everything that they're gonna need done there. Like I said, money sure doesn't go very far anymore. I'll have to come back to you with a cost that we're estimating. You know, I mean, I might be able to just get a rough one today that I can use for the HUD request. But it'll just be.
It's gonna be interesting to see, but it will be up to par for our Boys and Girls Club, for our community, a little bit community space, and there's some elder space, maybe, I don't know. But, you know, they need it.
Right.
I guess in the meantime, for Callaway, is there anything that you've done? I would like to invite anyone to walk through there. It's absolutely horrible. My son, I picked my son up there yesterday. It was terrible. I wouldn't want anyone's kids in there. They're probably going to get sick if they continue in that building. I think in the meantime, we need to do something as soon as possible. State grants, but that's how far down the road.
Yeah.
3, 4 years, that's not
it could be. Well, and I was thinking about that the other day. You know, Winona has that building in Calgary that used to be the elementary. Is there room? Can anybody ask if we can rent some room in there if she has space?
That's bad.
It's just as bad.
And I think, you know, what about purchasing, how many kids are in Calway?
It's less than 20 on average.
How about a nice double wide or something to place there for right now until, you know, and then after, you know, we're done utilizing it for the kids, we can bid it out to members at highest price or something. Because, I haven't been in there yet, but just hearing from people, it's bad in there.
If you have 20 kids, you might be able to like even get a dynamic or a temporary and then design it the way that you would want to have it laid out.
Well, that costs more money.
It does, it costs.
But maybe even one of the trailers at the school. What are we doing with it?
I don't know if they can be moved. They're not in great condition, but they're still be used. Elders use half of one of the buildings, and then we have the Caring for Kids store, and then the other one is that lending library, that little library area. And they're willing to move out.
Yeah, that's already set up for kids then.
Yeah. They're not real big.
Yeah, it's like, 20 kids. It's like, there's two ends. I know there's there.
Once the childcare is being built and wired, once that's done, they're gonna move that other building that they currently have for their childcare on the same site. And that's gonna be the new library and play spot. So then those trailers will be freed up. I mean, at least a portion of it.
But I don't know.
But that's gonna be 20. Yeah. But that's gonna be 2024. Next year when that's done.
Right, it'll be done in the spring, next spring.
What do we do then, Jenny? Did we already give her direction then?
Well, it sounds like from you and Alan, I guess Mike and Ray, that's.
No, what did you say, Len?
The direction on the grant, Anya's recommendation was to have Lisa work with HUD on looking at
Options?
no, not options, the specific option of renovating the Shopco building for boys and girls. That was Annie's recommendation. Alan agreed with it. And so then the question is just is that you and Ray haven't weighed in yet. And it doesn't need to be a motion or a vote.
I'm in favor of that.
Yeah, because the thing that I have is like when we build a community health building, then we move the B and G out of there, then what's gonna happen with that building? Do we have to pay that money back then, Lisa?
If you're gonna build another building and put the Boys and Girls Club in there, then I think that would be fine because you're still providing another space. I don't think it matters then, as long as you provide another space.
I agree with
that. As soon as if I can get this, and that's another thing, like applying for the next grant, this one, this is the first grant that I have not had done within the time work that we've had. So yes, I would also have to, like, if we're going to ask for another grant, they may say, when you're done with this one, we'll give you another grant. So that might put our grant request back a year. But we could still apply and see. Then we have the grant ready, and if they hold us back, we'll apply the following year. But if we could do something temporary for Callaway, I agree, because when you walk through the main door, you look at the seams in the ceiling, it's all black along in there. And the architect said, she thinks that it could be very dangerous for kids here as well.
I mean, if I may, Mr. Chair, it sounds like that club needs to be immediately shut down. It's not safe.
It isn't safe.
Reporting it not safe?
No.
You're gonna have to relocate.
And where do you relocate? We gotta figure out something, and something has to be done.
Or it needs to close, even if it can't be relocated, it needs to be closed because of the safety.
Right.
Yeah, we could look at moving some of the kids to the other sites. But again, we run into the busing issue. You know, the other thing is, you know, we haven't had luck with Callaway Community Council sharing their building. So if we could use that temporarily or for a few months until we brought in a modular double wide or whatever we could have set up. I don't know if that would be something that their community would allow us to do.
Okay, I have a community member that has her bus license, and she wants to volunteer, but she said she can't drive our buses because she's not on RTC payroll or, you know, an RTC employee. So how do we get around that? You know, if she's willing to do it, she don't even want to be paid. She said, I'll just drive the bus if when needed for any of the Boys and Girls Clubs. So I don't know.
Or an insurance question?
I think that's an insurance issue so we could put her on the payroll and for $1 a year or something. I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying, and she's on the payroll, then she'd fall under the insurance policy.
I thought there was some navigators that had CDLs.
I'm not aware of the navigator program that well, that's not my.
Where's Mike?
Mike Larotte.
Mike.
Get up here. Question about the navigator program and whether any of them have CDLs so they can operate a bus.
They do not have CDLs.
You told us Sue Hanks?
Oh, Sue Hanks does, I'm sorry. Sue Hanks has a CDL, so that's the only one. The rest of them don't. What do you need them for?
Just transporting boys and girls kids, you know, like from, if we have to close Callaway, can we bring them to Whiter or to Wobbin, you know?
Some buses don't require, some of those vans don't require CDLs. Like the one at the ICW, the one they have, they don't require, that doesn't require a CDL, and they can.
They're 14 passengers.
Yeah, but those can only be used for ICW, right?
I have no idea. I know,
Same with Head Start, those can only be used to transport Head Start kids. But we do have some Boys and Girls Club buses. We just need somebody available to transport.
But Sue, utilizer.
but you gotta understand, one thing you gotta understand with the navigators is that one thing I didn't want to do with them is I didn't want to pull them in a whole bunch of directions because, like it or not, they're busy. They're doing transport for behavioral health. They're doing transports for other things and all that stuff. So it wouldn't be a given that they would be able to do this. It would be if they're available. That's the way it would be. So.
Well, we would work with Jim Besta because he still has his too. So if that's what we need to do, but
as long as we have time, if we're ahead of time and know that they're going to do it, I think they could be used. They could be used in that capacity, partially. Because I know, like with EMP kitchens, they had a driver go down one time and they couldn't deliver meals. Well, they called us and we had enough time to have Sue and one of our other navigators went up and helped them deliver meals for them, which is good for us to do too also. So, but if we have some time, I think we can accommodate it. So to have them go out and get CDLs, I would take a look at it. And we could take a look at it and see if they could do that. So I know it's
well, it would be a plus for them, you know.
Yep.
But then you might lose them.
that's always the worry. I kind of laugh and kind of joke with them and say that, well, we can't give you no more training because you're going to want to go and do bigger, better things, and then we'll lose you. And I just joke about that. But yes, that was part of the concept with the navigators, is that they would get the training, the peer support and all that, and they'd be able to move on to a higher position, and then we'd be able to backfill those positions with tribal members in each community. So, which works out pretty good. Okay, have Jim talk to Craig Bauer. He's the manager of the CSO manager. He would be able to talk to him, and then we could look at maybe, because I know the Workforce Center also does CDL training. Does the Workforce Center do that? I mean, would they be able to assist them with it?
She's trying to get one going.
Yeah.
There's classes that you...
Yeah, so there was a joint effort with the tribal college, housing, transportation, and what's that? Roads department. Yeah, because we need 60 CDL drivers. That's how many positions we would need to appropriately fill all of them. Yeah. So I think we said like 35, but we went with 60 to have the backup. Yeah.
Yeah, because you'd have to, just a regular CDL for driving a semi would be different than a school bus endorsement and all that stuff like that. There's a little bit more to that. So I think I wouldn't think it would take much longer, but it would be beneficial, I think, for them to get that. So
And
they would be able to fill it.
and does that include the heavy equipment and all that too?
No, it's the Class A. A Class A would do that.
Because we need that too. So, yeah.
Well, I know that they were checking with the other colleges because some of the other tech colleges would offer it, like Detroit Lakes had offered it. What was the other tribe that offered it? Beach Lake, I believe, offered it. Red Lake, the CDL. So they were looking at what other schools offered it and what would it look like if we had a CDL licensure right here.
I know Staples Technical College used to do it for a lot of the tribes back in the 70s and 80s. They would have stipend programs where you would go, they would come in and give you you'd get your heavy equipment, you would get your electrician, your carpentry, all that stuff. You'd stipend for like an 8-week course, and they'd get you certified and all that stuff. So, and I was talking to Paul Pemberton, and he said that's what they were kind of looking at with that building. Maybe not as broad as that, but HVAC and all that stuff like that, for that building that the tribal college wants to build.
I know that's what they used to do at Ojibwe here when they built the houses, and they got a small stipend.
They built those houses.
Yeah.
Anna, do you have, it was Alexandria School where you're connecting with?
We were looking at Allen Tech and also N State.
For us to do it, we would need a building like Shopco with those 20-foot ceilings. We did it through the tribal college, but.
But I'll have Jim talk to Craig, and then we'll collaborate on it and see if we can get that done. Okay?
So was that did Lisa get her answer then?
Well, I mean, I think from Annie, Alan, and Ray to do the shop code. Yeah. And then Chairman Fairbank's question was, well, then later on, when the new building is moved, Boys and Girls Club is moved to the new building, then money doesn't have to be spent. So then I think the direction from council is to work with HUD on shop code. But then the issue of the Callaway school or site remains. Is the RBC going to shut that down and then bus the students to White Earth or somewhere else?
I don't know that would be that.
Yeah, we can.
Is that
I mean, that doesn't need RBC directive, I guess, but as long as everybody knows that that's a direction, Dan,
Yeah, and it's good to know that, there's an end in sight, whereas in Noman, we've just been hitting it.
Then could you get us some prices on a building for now for Callaway then? I mean, even if there's some space we can utilize, or, if you have to meet with somebody or whatever, let us know, and so we can get something for them there at least until we figure out what we're gonna do with it. Let you guys.
Is the council going to make it, as part of that would be some demolition money? Is that something we can talk about at another time?
For Callaway?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, it's gonna be longer
And
issue
there's
there, I
a few
think.
places, a few spots in Monoman. I'd just like some time to talk with everybody sometime in the future.
Yes.
To talk about a few funding issues.
Yes, because we met, like, I can't make the decision.
Right. So I would like
So,
some
yeah.
time, and I don't know when you want me to come back, but I would.
Well, as soon as you figure out something with Chaco, and, you know, I think,
Then
yeah.
schedule
let's
come back.
Figure it out, yeah.
Okay. I'll have to ask them some questions. Yeah, I have to ask questions. Okay, good, thanks. Letter and all that. It's a too self-explanatory. Okay, I'll just stay. Okay. Do you want me to stay for that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it's gonna. So as long as it's very good.
Yeah, I can. What time do you think it'd be? I'm supposed to be there.
I think so.
I was volunteering going for it, board and construction I could attend. And then I was gonna go to the shop for her when she's done with that. Just come back after that. It was over here, I recorded it.
Right up to the night.
Oh, right.
Okay, thank you. Next up on the committee council is Cass Lake. Pine Point. Rice Lake. White Earth. White Earth Urban. Okay. Okay, next up on the agenda is old business. We have Thea Wellstone, Pathfinders presentation.
Yeah, hey, everybody. Pleased to be here again today with you. I don't know, Mr. Chairman, you're probably not looking for me to do a presentation. I'm assuming we've done a lot of them. Just wanted to say we're honored to be working with you on your urban site, working with Courtney and Clinton has been great. We're looking forward to expanding up onto the reservation. We're happy. I think we've got the unanimous community support. We've done the community meetings. We're really honored to have that. And I just want to say we really are, we want to do this partnership with you that we've talked about. We think it's win-win for all of us. And so when you all are ready to do that, we are, we want to partner with you. We've got our, proposal out. I know it's been vetted and gone through. And so we're just wanted to assure you we're here. We're, again, honored to work with you. I think we're doing good work together, and we would love to have you as a partner when that time is right.
Thank you.
David Wellstone, 2024.
Well, I mean, again, we're just this, I've said this before. I appreciate that. This is full circle for me. I know my father worked closely with y'all. I'm again honored to get a chance to work with you. We have these contracts we're working with on the addiction side. That's where we're working with you. We're working with corrections. We're going to start to be doing some work with veterans, and as we scale this out in Indian country with you, we're we're excited to get it done. And so when you all are ready to partner, we are ready. And I know I'm going to continue to work hard. So you just have to let me know what we need to do, Mr. Chairman.
Council, do you want to have any questions for our friend, Mr. Wellstone? I know Alan and Ray had to get on the road to head up north to Turtle Mountain, so I think they're on, but they're on the road, so yeah, I'm not exactly sure if David, if they want to, I'm not sure, and if they can get on, Alan or Ray, if you guys want to get on and talk about this, or Andy, you know, and you guys want to take action today, or if you guys want to keep reviewing it, or what we want to do, so be good.
Well, it's been.
Mr. Chair, I'm all in favor of bringing Wellstone on. I think this is going to be a good project for us, and I think we should take another look at it. Maybe not today, but eventually get into it with them, because I think that's a great program there. Maybe Lori can explain a little bit more of it. She was down there with us, and we met with Mr. Wellstone. Good.
All right, well, miigwech, right? So we've been working with Mr. Wellstone for 9 or 10 months, I believe. We have utilized his Pathfinders app in the urban area. So far, so good. It's successful. They have added culturally specific things to the app to assist with our families. I know that we've had community forums and all of community councils weigh in on either they're supportive of the app or not, and everybody was in support of this app. This has been something that has been brought forward multiple times, requested. So it really ultimately is up to leadership on a decision, or if it was my understanding that the kind of overall message is waiting for new leadership before moving forward with some of the requests that are coming in. So, ultimately, we're just still kind of just waiting on what direction, but community members have voiced support, and I think it was my understanding that leadership was in support of this, so that's just where we're at from my perspective. Miigwech.
Losing community members, we better move on with the program.
We just lost 2 people yesterday, and I had said it before, I am sick and tired of seeing young people go, I am in full support of this Pathfinders app, and any lifeline we can provide to our people at any cost, that's what I see,
Mr. Chair, point of clarification. So the Pathfinders app is available to our people in the urban office and will be available to our people here. The question that Mr. Wellstone brought forward was an investment opportunity and a partnership to be able to expand and create or generate a revenue that can continue to help our people in a sustainability potentially. And I guess that's all I would like to say for now. Miigwech.
Yes, Kevin.
It's for, it's Mike, it's for, is it for 5 million? Is that what the ask is on the investment?
Yeah, I can answer that. The ask is for $5 million. And we've got all the paperwork. I think your Lenny has it all, has vetted it all. It's for an 8.5% interest in the company, which would make you the largest single owner of Pathfinder. And on top of it, as we expand in Indian country, whether you bring the clients or not, and I'm fairly well connected nationally and working pretty closely with Senator Murray and others, you get a 10% off the top for a profit for you on any of those. So what we're proposing is helping people and also providing a financial piece for you that will, like you said, we have a projection of about $120 million revenue in 5 years. And I've gotten all those revenue kind of figures to folks, but we're looking for an investment which would make you, own more of the company actually than I would. And so this is an investment, but a true partnership.
Also, it's my understanding it's a one-time investment, and also with that, we would receive the Pathfinder app service for free if we were in partnership, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Lori. This is a one-time equity investment, and then yes, you would not pay as you put your members on. We had agreed to that. So we worked through a lot of those details over the last several months with your legal folks. And so, yes, we have a proposal there that's in front of you. And I think it's, and I'm just telling you, we are committed to working with you. So when you're ready, we are.
Yes, Kevin.
Where can this proposal be found for those that are blessed with being blind?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've gotten it to Lenny. You have all that stuff. Is that correct?
Yep, and it's with the council right now. Yeah, so that's been submitted to the council.
Yes.
Can you pass that on to me, sir, Lenny?
Yes, if the council okays it.
May I? To God? Please.
I mean, if it's a copy of, then do we sign anything to release any of that information, or?
It's a council decision. It's a negotiated agreement. I mean, it's the potential to be in a negotiated agreement. There's no NDA or anything. But
well, you know, my concerns is because of the experiences I've had when it comes to large amount of money that's being requested, that there is different scrutinization pertaining to some individuals and other individuals. And so I want to make sure that everything from now on is really scrutinized, or I may raise a bigger stink. Be with. Nothing personal, Mr. Wellstone.
No, not a, listen, and here's the thing. This was written to be extremely fair, and there's nothing in there that you will find untoward. And so that's absolutely right. That's the way we do business.
Be good. Thank you.
I have no problem releasing it, and if anybody else wants to look at it,
And I think some people are nodding our heads here, Dave, that they'd like to look at it first. And
sure.
I think that we could probably maybe not make a decision today, but like you said, everyone's in favor of it. And it's just like, we're so sorry that we take your time up meeting after meeting, because it seems like we're just prolonging this, but I think that the more engagement you get from our membership and the approval, I think that is going to be just something that's going to be, I think, beneficial to not only to our behavioral health department and our opioid, but also to, all of our community members. So, and it's an investment for, for years to come for us. So, I mean, and I think Alan or Ray, would you mind letting releasing some of these documents to our memberships that are requesting them to review them? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, because the more information we put out, the better the people have, our people have understanding of it. So I'm in favor of that also.
Yeah, that's okay, Mr. Chair. And I think Mr. Wellstone has provided a lot of that information in his presentations there, so as well. So, yeah.
I think Alan's correct. I think the mechanics of it have been well presented in the presentation. The documents that will be released are pretty intensive legal documents that talk about like shareholding and within a corporation and things like that. But we'll release those documents. I just sent a text to Laura Lee to see if we can get them out here yet today.
When is our next meeting?
Probably the end of May.
And I'm willing to come up, and if there's other folks, we have laid things out. We don't want anything. We want to be transparent about everything. And I'm just So we're willing to, Mr. Chair, like you said, I'm willing to, I know we've spent a lot of time, but you know, that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes good things for a good partnership. I want to be partners with you. I want you all to want to be partners with us. And so whatever we need to do, I'll make it happen on our end.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate your time and your patience. So thank you.
No, I appreciate it, Bill. Thank you very much, everybody.
Take care. Okay, next up on the agenda is new business. I know we have a request from the White Earth Fire Department again. So I know they're requesting some more monies for like fire protection stuff. I'm in Ogama. I know they both almost have the same request for equipment. So I'm not sure what council wants to look at these, or do you want to take more time to look at these, or I know that we gave a donation to both NATO Wash and White Earth last meeting. And I know that Ogama was requesting it, but you know, and I guess when it comes to Ogama, you know, I think, I don't know, people can probably, as I know that they're part of the city Atokas. They fall under the gaming, which.
Well, no, not necessarily. They fall under the city of Ogama, but their gaming is their fundraising. So they do get revenue from the Cadillac Jack machines, but it's them doing all the work. It's not, they don't just.
Yeah, but White Earth and NATO Wash doesn't get that.
No, they never, and then have that opportunity.
So does the city of Ogama give them any money?
That I'm not sure of.
Gotta clarify that.
I just think, do you have that request, Curtis? I don't have the request in front of me.
It's in the packet.
Yeah.
I think what they were stating was that they service the reservation and work a lot with the White Earth Fire Department. And we're asking for
at the least
500,000, which is half of what the other fire departments received.
Is that through our funding, through the machines?
No.
Oh, okay, that was what.
They get funding from our machines.
Some other machine.
No, yeah.
So they have their own Cadillac Jack machines in Ogama liquor store.
One. Some of them didn't understand.
Yeah.
Don't want to mess with.
Yeah, they're the ones that kind of maintain those machines or drop the money and then they keep the percentage that, you know, they kind of run it as like their little, I don't want to say business, but that's how they do their fundraising. But they have requested $500,000, which like I said, was half of what we gave White Earth and NATO Wash. Well, their proposal here has self-contained breathing apparatus, which the cost is $110,000. They would like to get a 3,000 gallon tanker truck, which is $400,000. A grass and wildland truck, they need just $160,000. And fireman turnout gear, $85,000. A rescue trailer, man, yeah, their actual needs are more than what their request is, but it's all just fire safety gear.
And White Earth wants 266,000 more. Is that what or is it just 250?
That's what I'm seeing. We gave, I think White Earth's initial request was 1.2 million and we agreed to give them $1 million. And now they're coming forward and asking for the additional
250,000.
Aren't there some kind of grants that could help?
I guess I'm not sure what they have as far as grant writing abilities. in their fire
We have
department.
grant writers and
I'm wondering, could some of our programs cover that or what? I know housing does give them, but I don't know if, it can be behavior health or.
Pat, do you have, would
Pat,
public
yeah.
health cover that? No? No, cover the cost of like breathing apparatuses for the firemen that are, no?
Probably not.
Yeah.
So the money that we gave to White Earth and Nadawash came out of the ARPA fund. So if we were to fund the Ogama for 500, I would suggest that would come out of ARPA as well.
Pat, I have a question. Do our nurses bill when they go out?
The pay source,
Okay,
not everybody, less than 50%.
so where does that money go?
of that.
We can request more information. I know we don't have to make a decision today, but, I know that, we should look at pay sources and looking at maybe, like we talked about before, when we discussed White Earth and Nadawash is, I know that there's other grants out there, especially from Homeland Security, that we could look at on other ways. And I know we did talk about gaming and before about getting a piece of their, piece of that cut. So, we're still kind of in that process of how we can get more monies to these departments, and so I'm just thinking that maybe we don't need to make that decision today, but I think that, that we do need to sit down and plan this out better and work with our economic development director and find out ways where we can apply for different monies and different grants and help these fire departments out, so.
Do they have any money coming in from insurance claims? Do they have anything like that?
That's a good question, MG. Those are questions I think that, we're unaware of that, but those are things that I think that we have to look at and find other ways of coming to us and, and of course, we always care about, our people and our membership about, any type of, fires or whatnot, but we do want to stay on top of it and make sure that our fire departments are good. But that's a great question. That's something that we'll have to look into more, and I think that's something that we need to talk about maybe with Tracy and work with Lori and Curtis on, finding ways of how we can get more monies to these departments. So, good.
Well, that, and I'd like to know if, they're getting money from the city of Ogama and how much that is too,
Yes.
because, that's something we have to look at too. So if you guys can work on that. And, yeah, I think we need to, start helping them try to figure out some good funding sources too.
Make a good point, Andy. Thank you. So, Council, you okay with tabling these till we get more information?
Yes, I am.
Ray, Alan?
Yeah, I agree with that, Chair.
Thank you. All right, next up on the agenda is the Moorhead High School Eagle Feathers. I know that Mr. Shores here is requesting some eagle feathers for the graduation at Moorhead High. Kevin?
Bonjour, Anin, Nese, Dijinikaz, Anishinaabe, Wem, Minawa, Kevin Richard Shores, and Dijinikaz, Yaganashi Moog, Quad, Nindundam, Nawad, Nindogichida, Aki, Minawa, Gawa, Bobby, Gani Kog, and Dunjiba, Minawa, Moorhead, Minnesota, Nugu, Minde, Imiquich, Gichimanadu, Gani Kana, Ogama Fairbanks, Gani Kana, Secretary Alan Roy, Gani Kana, Ogama Cheryl, Minowa, Gani Kana, Ray. I have in the past given eagle feathers to graduates in high school. Last year, I was fortunate enough that the White Earth Reservation, they assisted in accomplishing that. Because of that reason, the high school reached out to me again and I submitted a request. Unfortunately, what's happening with the rise of the bird flu, that there's questions about the infestation of birds. They're requesting that individuals be very careful when coming across dead birds, just for safety measures. So unfortunately, they've said that they're not able to assist. However, if anybody knows of any other avenue or venues possible to assist, I would appreciate it, because we can always do it as a rain check, to reward, as they do here on the res, that I think it's pertinent that we reward our young adults for such an accomplishment of graduating high school, considering the Paleo Americans are of the highest dropout rate for high school. So I appreciate the council assisting me with this. On another note real quick, sunrise today and tomorrow, we're at 14 and a half hours already. So when it gets to 16 hours around that time, sorry to say, not sorry, the days are getting shorter. So the first week of June, summer solstice is over and done with. So rituals and ceremonies, we need to open up more so and discuss it more so that we recognize these greater cycles in the year of the longest day of the year, which also coincide with our treaty day, because they signed the treaty on the solstice of the summer, the longest day of the summer, so we could party for those 3 days. So, Chimi Gwitch, put your tobacco asema down, smoke your Pragan, and Michael Fairbanks and the council, remember, may the 4th be with you. Miigwech.
Yeah, very good. Monica, do we have any feathers from years past?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I did meet with or communicate with Mr. Shores there and Monica did provide the response that Mr. Shores shared today regarding the flu with the birds and the contamination of the birds. And even if they were to get a bird, the bird would need to be sent for further testing before it was ever gifted to any human being to ensure that there was not, the spread of the virus.
But I thought we had some in like storage, don't we?
How many students do we have? We never said that.
30.
Kevin, how many are you requesting?
There's 32 this year, the largest numbers they've ever had.
32?
32 students are graduating of Paleo-American descent. And a quarter of them are White Earth enrollees or descendants.
Thank you, Kevin, for that. And we will, look out there, see if we can find something, or even ask our neighbors to the east and west of us, Leech Lake, if they have any feathers. And we can put a request out to their DNR, Benoit. He could maybe possibly have something that he could give us to give to these kids. So thank you, Kevin. Next up is the request for the Veterans Invitational Golf Classic Scholarship.
Being a daughter of a vet, a Vietnam vet, and also World War II, and a lot of my relatives have been veterans, I'm in favor of this. Detroit Lakes are the ones that come honored my family. So, I leave it up to Lori and Curtis to figure out the best, way to serve it. So I don't Oh, I don't know. It's like $100 or $200 or $500, I see, so, you know, whatever they feel fit, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I know Alan's a veteran or, you know, serving is like, you know, of course, that we as Anishinaabe and Native American people, we've all supported our veterans that came back from the wars. And, you know, I think the biggest sponsorship money is $500 for the beverage cart sponsorship with a sign with our logo on it. So would that be fine with you, Andy, and the rest of the council to go with a $500 beverage cart?
Yes, and Ray is a veteran.
Yeah, Raymond too, so.
Yeah.
We could do two of them, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it, Chair.
Okay, so what do you want to do? Motion to approve how much?
I don't know, how much are they asking for?
Well, number 4 is for the beverage cart sponsorship, which is 8x11 sign placed on the cart and is a $500 donation. So that's the highest one on there. Otherwise, there's a $100 one for 3x3 cart on a pole sponsor sign or a golf cart sponsor, which is an 8x11 sign for $200.
7,000.
Or we could just do $1,000 in name of our veterans for White Earth Nation and
14,000. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
That 14?
I think you just want to do like 500 for the cart and do a $500 donation for just the tournament itself, $1,000 altogether.
Does that cover the pop cart or whatever?
Yeah, it will be, our logo will be on the cart. Then the other 500 is just gonna be donated to them. So I'm in favor of that.
You gonna motion that, Annie?
I'll motion.
Any motions for $1,000, $500 cart sponsorship plus a $500 for the tournament itself?
Second, Chair.
Second by Raymond, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Be good.
Yeah, be good.
All right, next up on the agenda is, yes.
Newcomers in a hearing right now, so maybe we could move down to Ms. Keiser's presentation.
Yes, we can do Renee Keiser. I know she has some really good information and she'd like to talk to everyone about, you know, the status of, you know, back up at the TEC meeting, you know, we were given her information, you know, about the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources was giving out permits to residents of our reservation to dredge out wild rice beds that's in front of their lake shore. Is that true, Renee? And without giving us consultation. So she's gonna talk about that on what we're gonna do and how we're gonna combat that today and how can we put a halt to that without consultation from Commissioner Strawman. So, but do you have a microphone?
You could talk about it.
My name is Bonjour. I'm Renee Keiser. I'm the pesticide coordinator here for White Earth. And even though this was not on the agenda, this is discussing the DNR permits. I know the previous pesticide coordinator had did some investigations on some pesticide use on a few different lakes. We were unaware of the state issuing these permits. This has been something that we have been looking into for a while. And it was our fisheries that was informed of the Department of the DNR, the Operational Guidance for Aquatic Plant Management, permitting on waters within the reservation boundaries. And this was drafted and the final version came out in 2019, and there was no consultation, there was no coordination. This never went in front of the Minnesota Indian Commission. So they have been made aware of this right now. And we are working with the legal department to draft up some letters to see what we can do about fixing this, because right now they are in violation of our tribal farm chemical code. You are not allowed to apply pesticides within 300 feet of a water body without first notifying me, and the previous pesticide coordinators were not notified. These permits are being issued in Leech Lake and in White Earth, and they have all the waters within both reservations listed as state waters. And so this is something that we are pursuing, and we are going to be relentless on, and we will keep everybody updated as we move forward on this. The other thing on the agenda that I had was our TPPC meeting. It's a Tribal Pesticide Program Council. It's a member of, it's about 30 different tribes and like other organizations that have pesticide programs, and the other organizations are like the Basket Weavers Association. We deal with different pesticide issues that the tribes deal with and that the states don't. And one of the things that has come up in their status report that they issued in 2020 was a risk assessment for pesticides for traditional use. And okay, one of the things, and this is on page 10 in the booklet that I handed out to the council members here. This booklet can also be, the status report can be found online at tppcwebsite.org, and it's free to download and to read. But one of the things was looking at the pesticide exposures for traditional practices with fish consumption, gathering, game consumption, drinking water sources, and like tribal specific traditional exposures. This is a pilot project, and it has been brought up before when Ed Snetzinger, my now supervisor, was the pesticide coordinator for the tribe. They did do some pesticide analysis, and like choke cherries were coming up with pesticide residues and stuff, and that is not on their list. That's one of the things I want to add to it. Right now we're working on trying to keep the data secure so that it's not, so that it can't be FOIA'd. From the Freedom of Information Act. And so we're working with the EPA right now to try to find ways that if White Earth were to engage into this pilot project, that we would be able to protect our data. And so that's one of the main hurdles we're looking at right now. But this would look at other ways that tribal members are exposed to pesticides through whether it's harvesting the medicines or the rice or the deer or berries, and looking at ways that the EPA's dietary exposure evaluation models don't look at. So you know, if you collect sage and you're burning it and that's been exposed to pesticides, well, you're exposed to those pesticides. You're exposed when you're collecting, you're exposed when you're consuming. And these are the modeling that we want to start looking at. And so we can determine that, like, what is our actual exposure. And so right now that is still in the planning steps. I volunteered us if we can protect our data. And so that's the biggest thing that we're working on right now. I have not made any definitive commitments, but I did want to bring this up to the council to let you guys be aware that this is something that I'm looking at doing. So I think it's something that's very important. It hasn't been done. And this will also set a structure for the other tribes to follow as well. And then with the TPPC meeting, this was the first time that White Earth has hosted this meeting. And it was the first time they've been in person in over 2 years. And there is still a lot of restrictions. We had 8 people here in person and the rest were virtual. That was including the EPA and some of the other tribes. And it was a unanimous decision that they want to come back to White Earth. We had engaged in some evening activities. I coordinated with Bob Shibbick at the Tribal College and for use of the van, and we went to a sugar bush and one evening, and that's the draft agenda I sent. And the second evening, we did switch them around. We went to, I took them to the headwaters, and then on the third day, most of the members had already gone home, but we took them out to give them an idea of Pine Point. We showed them where the state boundaries are, right next to the reservation and the fields. We showed them the circular irrigation systems. We showed them the issues that we have with the Pine Point School and the exposures to the community. And this is a national conference, but I feel like we are really special to be able to highlight some of our community concerns that we deal with here. And so it was a really good event, and they are looking forward to coming back, and I'm hoping that next time we will have more people with us, that as the travel restrictions are lifted, and they're looking forward to coming and visiting our home. So, and then on the third part of the agenda is for compliance assistance. And this is something that I do need your approval on. A letter of invite was sent out to White Earth, and this is for Region 8. And Region 8 has been coming to compliance assist with other tribes. And one of the biggest things with the compliance assist visit is it's an extreme emphasis on non-agricultural use of pesticides. And that's like, because pesticides aren't just your farm chemicals, you're looking at your disinfectants and different things like that. And with the COVID-19, we've seen a huge increase in the disinfectants and the pesticide devices like the UV lights and different things like that. And the compliance assist would be Region 8 coming out to our tribe, and they want to come in. We would select what tribal facilities they would inspect, whether it's the casino, the RBC buildings, schools are a good one, and there will be no enforcement actions taken on the tribe. It's looking to make sure that the tribe wasn't taken advantage of with the monies that were provided during the COVID. They went and did compliance assist with other tribes, and they found like UV lights that the tribes had spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars on, and they did not do what the claims had made. Different devices that weren't registered with the EPA, disinfectants that weren't registered with the EPA, and that can be very dangerous because there's no monitoring of those chemicals. And so that's what they're looking for, is to make sure that we weren't sold anything that's bad for us. And then also they'll be doing like training and teaching of like the employees on like how to use these products correctly, to follow the labels. And they'll also be looking at like integrated pest management, which is dealing with like rodents or bed bugs or roaches in non-chemical ways, so that we can reduce our exposure to these pesticide chemicals. And they would like to set up a virtual introduction meeting so that we can sit down, and any questions that you might have, you'll be able to ask them. I said that you would probably be a great one to coordinate with for figuring out what buildings and to inspect. But because it is a separate region and they don't have jurisdiction here, we would have to give them permission to come on to White Earth and do this. And another part of this is that we will, my enforcement officer would be coming with, and I'd be completing my on-the-job training while they're here, and that would give me remainder that I need for my federal credentials so I can start doing inspections here on White Earth. So that's all I have right now.
Any questions for Renee's report?
What are they gonna do about the Pine Point area right now? 'Cause we're hearing that, several people now have been exposed and even have cancer as a result. That's the pesticide bring up.
I am looking into that. I did bring up to the EPA that we need more studies done on like the what happens when you mix these chemicals together and what kind of chemicals you end up with and what are the impacts of those, because they only look at the chemicals individually. They don't look at when they're mixed together. And like when you rotate crops, you're using different chemicals every year. And with their central irrigation systems, one of my biggest worries is that they're spraying while they're irrigating. And so that's going down and soaking into the groundwater, and then they're pumping it back up. And so I'm working with the EPA on trying to do some of these studies and look at some of these things that they haven't done. I am right now working on writing up a sampling plan for wild rice and water. The biggest thing is that we don't have the funding. We don't have the funding to do a lot of these tests and everything, but I've been going to school for over 8 years just to address those same concerns, because I see the elevated cancer rates, I see the autoimmune disorders, the autism, and a lot of this stuff is, I believe, environmental. And so I'm doing the best that I can right now to I've only been in my position for about a year and I'm not certified yet. I don't have my EPA credentials, but I'm working on it. And we are looking at doing whatever we can in Pine Point. That is one of my big areas of concern. And because I do know that there's a lot of people sick over there. There's been a lot more increase in like the stomach cancers and things like that. And it's having to take a look at the specific chemicals that are being used in the crops in the area and trying to figure out what types of restrictions and other things that we're able to do.
They call it toxic hater country.
Yes.
But that's, you know.
I got word yesterday that Winona bought the fields across from where the school is, the new school.
Yes.
So that they won't be spraying there anymore. So
it's still blowing.
Yeah.
You know, from the fields.
But not only that, the water table is
Right.
very close to the surface, so that whatever they spray goes in the ground, goes directly into the water, because
your soil type.
What, 6-8 feet you get water, you know.
And it's also the soil type out there. You guys have a really sandy soil, sandy loam, and so it does soak right down other areas. So we have more of the clay where it runs off more into our surface waters. But that is a big concern of mine, is the groundwater quality in Pine Point. We have reestablished our pesticide complaint form online. If you go to the White Earth website under the resources, and let me make sure that I'm telling you this correctly, but I don't. You go to divisions under natural resources, and then you go under the under forms, and there's a pesticide misuse complaint form. And if it's a really windy day and they're applying, if you're driving and they're spraying and it gets on your vehicle, or if it gets on you, feel free to fill that out. It goes directly to my email, and that's what kickstarts an investigation. But if you wait, 2-3 weeks and say, hey, I was driving over here and they were spraying and it was a windy day, there's nothing I can do at that point, really, because a lot of that evidence has now been degraded. But the sooner that I get a complaint, like if it's while it's happening or right after, then a lot of that evidence will still be there. Like if they're spraying on a windy day and let's say it drifted over, I will be able to test for that and collect the samples needed to verify that. So, but there is that pesticide online complaint form that you fill out and it goes right to me.
Yeah.
I do not have the testing equipment. That has to be sent out to a lab.
Then how do you collect it?
Oh, I collected in like the vegetation samples. If they're spraying and it drifts over like into your yard or something, I take like samples of like your grass or your bushes or things like that. Or if you were to get it sprayed, I would take like your clothing and stuff and send that in.
That our car sprayed really bad one time.
Yeah, and we have swabs. We have swabs for like if it's on a car or anything like that, where we would be able to take it like that. So. Okay. But, thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, if we could go on a break so we're able to do the ballot lottery at this time?
Yeah, let me see on my phone.
And one of the other things that we talked about yesterday too, when I was talking to Monica about that, some of that Waldray stuff and, you know, and the permits that they're giving out to citizens and within our borders to harm our rights, is that we are going to get a letter out there. It'll be through ratification to Commissioner Strawman at the DNR. And also we're going to implement some other things, but it's going to be coming real soon. So I want to make sure that let our membership know that we are protecting our Waldray. So. But we will take a break. I know they're going to get set up for the drawing here, so big wish and thank you.
Yeah.
Has anybody heard this talk about Wabigon Muskegee asking for $2 million?
Heard that.
Is that not on the agenda today? Behind closed doors, they're gonna make it.